12 elite assassins sent by the Empire. Humans sent them back. Broken, the Valdris Empire stretched across 400 star systems like a dark shadow covering the galaxy. For 3 centuries, Emperor Thane's ancestors had crushed every world that refused to kneel. Their military was legendary. Their technology was superior. Their reputation made entire planets surrender without a single shot fired. Earth was different. When the Empire's scout ships arrived 6 months ago, they expected the usual pattern. Show overwhelming force, make demands, watch the primitives panic and submit. But humans did something unexpected. They said no. Emperor Thane sat on his throne made of metals from conquered worlds, staring at the holographic image of Earth floating before him. His military advisors wanted to send the fleet. Thousands of warships could turn the human homeworld into ash within days. But Thane had a better idea. A more elegant solution. Send the 12 shadows, he said. The room fell silent. The 12 shadows were not soldiers. They were something far more dangerous. 12 elite assassins, each a master of death in their own unique way. Together they had ended resistance movements on 40 different worlds. They were the Empire's answer to leadership problems. Kill the leaders, break the spirit, and the masses would follow. Within hours, the 12 shadows received their orders. Their targets were 12 humans who held Earth's resistance together. Military commanders, scientists, intelligence directors, and resistance leaders. Remove them, and humanity would collapse like a house made of cards. Kairos the Silent was the first to review his target file. He was a tall figure covered in dark armor that bent light around him. His special ability made him invisible to almost every known sensor in the galaxy. He had walked through the most secure facilities in the Empire without being seen once. His target was General Daewon Kim, a military strategist who coordinated Earth's unified defense forces. Valira Darkmoon studied her assignment in her laboratory filled with bottles and vials. She was a master of poisons, toxins, and biological weapons. 87 confirmed kills across 20 worlds. Her victims never saw her coming. They simply stopped breathing. Their hearts stopped beating or their minds shut down. Her target was Bora Choi, a weapons researcher developing technology to counter Imperial forces. Arctis Prime was more machine than living being now. His body had been enhanced with the Empire's finest cybernetics. He could hack any computer system, interface with any network, and his reflexes were 10 times faster than normal beings. He reviewed his target data with mechanical precision. Commander Jinwoo Kang, head of Earth's Cyber Warfare Division. Arctis would enjoy hunting someone who thought they understood technology. Shadewalker Nyx could walk through walls. His species had evolved the ability to shift between physical dimensions, making solid matter meaningless. Doors, walls, armor, nothing could keep him out. His target was Tae-Sun Lee, director of Earth's intelligence network. Nyx would simply walk into his bedroom and end him in his sleep. Korvax the Patient was perhaps the most feared sniper in the galaxy. His longest confirmed kill was from 4 kilometers away. He never missed. Never. His target was Hyun-Soo Bae, who coordinated Earth's underground resistance networks. Korvax would find him, line up the shot, and Bae would never know what happened. Lysera Quickblade carried 2 energy blades that hummed with deadly power. She was a close combat specialist who moved like water and struck like lightning. In under 30 seconds, she could eliminate an entire security team. Her target was former Special Forces soldier Yu Jin Shin, now leading guerrilla operations against Imperial interests, a warrior hunting a warrior. Grim-Eye Toll was a telepath, one of the few beings in the galaxy born with the ability to read thoughts. He could sense fear, anticipate movements, and know an enemy's plans before they acted. Combined with his combat training, he was nearly impossible to defeat. His target was Sung-Ho Nam, Earth's communications director. Tull would read his thoughts and know every secret. Vesper Knight was a shapeshifter. She could become anyone, copy any face, mimic any voice. She had walked up to targets pretending to be their most trusted friends and killed them with a smile. Her target was Mi Young Jang, a medical officer who kept human morale high during the darkest times. Vesper would become someone Yang trusted, then strike. Drax Ironhand was pure brute force. His species was incredibly strong, capable of tearing through steel with bare hands. He wore armor that made him nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. Subtlety was not his method. He simply crushed anything in his way. His target was Wan Shiko, the logistics master who kept Earth's supply chains functioning. Sylvana Ghost created illusions. She could make you see things that were not there, hide things that were, and confuse an entire security force with projections and tricks of light. Her target was Yoonji Moon, a psychological warfare specialist. Sylvana thought it was poetic. The mind game player would be defeated by mind games. Rennick Voidborn could step between dimensions entirely. Not just phase through walls like Nyx, but actually move through different layers of reality. He could be in one place, step sideways through existence, and appear somewhere else entirely. His target was Sumin Lim, who worked to counter Imperial propaganda and maintain human unity. Azura Death Whisper controlled sound itself. She could create vibrations that shattered bones, collapsed lungs, or stopped hearts without leaving a mark. Her kills looked like natural causes. She studied the file of her target carefully, planning which frequency would work best. Each assassin had 2 weeks. They would deploy separately, scattered across Earth's continents. They would work independently using their unique abilities. The Empire would watch from orbit, recording everything. This would be broadcast across subjugated worlds as a lesson. This is what happens when you resist the Empire. The 12 transport pods launched from the Imperial flagship. Each pod was cloaked, invisible to Earth's detection systems. They entered the atmosphere like shooting stars spreading across the planet. Landing sites were calculated for maximum efficiency. Each assassin would be within striking distance of their target within 48 hours. On Earth, in a bunker deep beneath Geneva, General Dae-Won Kim stood before a holographic display showing 12 red dots descending through the atmosphere. Around him stood 11 other people. Yujin Shin, Hana Park, Tai-Sun Lee, Bora Choi, Jinwoo Kang, Sung Ho Nam, Myungjiang, Hyunsu Bae, Yoonji Moon, Won Shik-oh, and Sumin Lim. The 12 targets. They have landed, Commander Kang said, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. All 12 pods tracked and confirmed. Positions? Kim asked. Exactly where we predicted they would land, said Lee, the intelligence director. Their tactics are consistent with previous Imperial assassin deployments on other worlds. Hana Park, the diplomat who had spent months studying every Imperial conquest, nodded slowly. They believe we are like the others, unprepared, primitive, afraid. Let them believe it, Kim said quietly. We have been preparing for this moment since their first scout ship arrived. We studied their methods. We analyzed every recorded Imperial assassination across 40 worlds. We know how they think. We know how they operate. Yujin Shin checked her weapon, a smile playing at her lips. They are sending hunters. But they forgot something important about humans. What is that? Asked Won Shik-oh. We have been hunting each other for thousands of years. We wrote the book on assassination, guerrilla warfare, and psychological operations. They are about to learn that Earth is not like other worlds. Kim looked at each person in the room. Remember, we capture them alive if possible. Dead assassins tell us nothing. Captured assassins give us intelligence, technology, and leverage. Positions everyone. They will move on their targets within 72 hours. The 12 humans dispersed to their assigned locations. Each position had been carefully prepared. Every building had been modified. Every security system had been upgraded with technology reverse-engineered from captured Imperial scout ships. Every guard had been trained specifically for the abilities these assassins possessed. The Empire thought they were sending death to Earth's doorstep. They did not know that Earth had turned every doorstep into a trap. The hunters were coming, but humanity had become very good at hunting hunters. In orbit, Emperor Thane watched the mission begin. In 2 weeks, this would be over. Earth would be broken, leaderless, and ready for conquest. The 12 shadows had never failed. They would not fail now. He had no idea how wrong he was. 12 elite assassins sent by the Empire. Humans sent them back. Broken Kairos the Silent moved through the darkness like a ghost. His armor bent light around his body, making him completely invisible to the human eye and to their primitive sensors. Or so he believed. He had studied the layout of General Dae-Won Kim's military compound for 3 days, watching patrol patterns and security rotations. Everything was predictable. Humans were always predictable. Tonight he would strike. The compound's outer walls meant nothing to him. His armor included climbing technology that let him scale vertical surfaces silently. Security cameras could not detect him. Motion sensors did not register his presence. He was the perfect infiltrator, and he had never been caught in 200 missions across the galaxy. The general's office was on the third floor. Kairos reached the window at exactly midnight. The glass was standard security grade, easy to bypass. His tools made no sound as they cut through the lock mechanism. The window slid open. He entered smoothly, landing on the carpeted floor without a whisper of noise. The office was dark and empty. A large desk sat in the center, covered with papers and holographic displays that were powered down for the night. Kairos moved closer, his blade sliding silently from its sheath. The blade was made from imperial metals that could cut through body armor like paper. Then he saw it, a single piece of paper on the desk, positioned perfectly in the center. Even in the darkness, his enhanced vision could read the words written in neat handwriting. "We have been expecting you." The lights exploded to life, flooding the room with brilliant white light. Kairos spun, his training taking over, blade ready. But he stopped, frozen in shock. General Kim stood near the doorway, flanked by Yu Jin Shin and a dozen soldiers. But that was not what made Kairos freeze. The soldiers were wearing strange helmets and visors that glowed with a soft blue light. They were looking directly at him, not at where they thought he might be. Directly at him. They could see him. Thermal imaging combined with electromagnetic field detection, Kim said calmly, as if explaining something to a student. "Your armor bends visible light, but it still generates heat. Your body still creates an electromagnetic field. We have been tracking you since you climbed the outer wall." Kairos reacted with the speed of a trained killer. He lunged toward the nearest soldier, blade flashing. But Yu Jin Shin was faster. She fired a device that looked like a weapon but made no sound. Instead, a net of energy erupted around Kairos, wrapping around his body and locking his limbs in place. He hit the ground hard, unable to move. "Neural disruption net," Shin explained, walking closer. "Sends signals that interfere with your nervous system. We developed it after studying your species' biology from your scout ship cruise." Kairos struggled against the invisible bonds, but his body would not respond. Kim knelt beside him, looking into his eyes through the armor's visor. "You are not the first hunter we have dealt with. You will not be the last, but you are now our prisoner, and you are going to tell us everything about the other 11. On the other side of the world, Valira Darkmoon was making her move. The research facility where Bora Choi worked was a difficult target, but Valira specialized in difficult targets. She did not need to get close to her victim. She just needed to get her poison into the air system. The facility's ventilation shaft was accessible from the roof. Security was tight, but Valira had tools that could fool their scanners. She wore a suit that registered as maintenance personnel on their identification systems. She carried equipment that looked like standard cleaning supplies. But hidden inside was a container of one of the deadliest neurotoxins in the galaxy. Valdris Compound 7 Alpha. It was colorless, odorless, and killed in seconds. Just a few drops in the ventilation system would spread throughout the building. Everyone inside would be dead before they even knew something was wrong. Valira had used it 43 times. It never failed. She reached the ventilation access point and carefully opened the container. The liquid inside looked like water. She poured it into the intake vent, watching it get sucked into the system. In 3 minutes, it would reach Choi's laboratory. Alarms began screaming. Valira's heart jumped. Red lights flashed throughout the building. Automated systems activated and heavy metal shutters slammed down over every vent opening. The ventilation system completely shut down. A computerized voice echoed through the facility speakers. "Toxin detected. Classification: Valdris Compound 7 Alpha. Countermeasures deployed. Threat neutralized." Valira stared in disbelief. How did they know? How did they have countermeasures for an Imperial military-grade toxin? Through the roof access window, she could see into the laboratory below. Bora Choi stood there wearing a fully sealed environmental suit, watching Valira through reinforced glass. Choi pressed a button, and her voice came through an intercom. "We captured one of your scout ships 6 months ago. Did the Empire not tell you? We have been studying Valdris technology, biology, and chemistry ever since. Every poison in your Empire's database, we know about it. We have antidotes and countermeasures." Security teams were already coming up the stairs. Valira ran, trying to escape through the roof access, but the door had sealed automatically. She turned to find another exit, but more doors were closing. The entire facility was locking down, sealing her inside. Within minutes, she was surrounded. Unlike Kairos, she tried to use her last resort, a poison capsule hidden in her tooth. But before she could bite down, one of the security team members fired a dart. She felt a sharp pain in her neck, and then her entire body went numb. She collapsed, unable to move, unable to even close her jaw. "Muscle relaxant," a medic said, approaching carefully in a sealed suit. "We knew you poison users always carry a suicide option. We were ready." Commander Jinwoo Kang sat in his cyber warfare command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing data streams from across the planet. His team had been monitoring Imperial communications for months. They had cracked the encryption codes from the captured scout ship. They knew the assassins were coming. They knew when they would arrive. They even knew some of their abilities. But Arctis Prime was a unique threat. A cybernetic assassin who could hack almost any system. Kang had prepared something special for him. The facility's security systems registered a breach at 2 in the morning. Something was interfacing with their network, trying to access the main servers. The intrusion was sophisticated, using Imperial-level hacking protocols that could break through most defenses in seconds. But Kang was not using most defenses. He had designed a trap. The system appeared to let Arctis in. The security doors opened for him. The cameras turned away as if blind. The path to Kang's command center was clear. Arctis moved through the building with confidence. His cybernetic enhancements told him he had full control of the facility's systems. He was seeing through their cameras, controlling their doors, reading their data. He entered the command center, expecting to find Kang alone and vulnerable. Instead, he found himself in a large empty room lined with strange panels on every wall. The door sealed behind him with a heavy thud. Kang's voice came through speakers. "Welcome, Arctis Prime. You think you control our systems, but you are actually in a closed loop. Everything you hacked was a simulation, a fake system we let you access. You have not touched our real network at all." Arctis tried to access his systems, tried to hack the door, tried to send a signal for help. Nothing responded. His cybernetic enhancements flickered and died. His weapons systems went offline. His enhanced strength faded. He collapsed to his knees, suddenly feeling the full weight of his mechanical body without the power systems to support it. "Electromagnetic pulse field," Kang continued. "The walls generate a field that disrupts all electronic systems. We built this room specifically for you after we learned a cybernetic assassin was among the 12. Your hardware is impressive, but we have been reverse engineering Valdris technology for months. We knew you would come wired for hacking. We prepared accordingly." Technicians in protective suits entered through a shielded door. They carefully placed restraints on Arctis that blocked any remaining electronic functions in his body. He was completely helpless, a prisoner of his own cybernetic enhancements. In orbit, Emperor Thane received reports that made his blood run cold. 3 of the 12 shadows had gone silent. Their tracking signals showed they were alive but not moving, not communicating, not completing their missions. "What is happening down there?" he demanded. His military advisors had no answers. The 12 shadows did not fail. They did not get captured. They were the elite of the elite. Yet 3 of them had been neutralized in less than 72 hours. "Should we extract the others?" an advisor suggested. "No," Thane said firmly. "The remaining 9 will adapt. They always do. Humans got lucky with 3. They will not get lucky with 9 more." But luck had nothing to do with it. On Earth, General Kim stood in a secure facility looking at 3 containment cells. Inside each cell was an assassin who had believed humans were primitive and unprepared. Inside each cell was a lesson the Empire was about to learn. Humans had studied their enemy. They had prepared for every ability, every tactic, and every advantage the Empire possessed. The hunters had become the hunted, and this was only the beginning. 12 elite assassins sent by the Empire. Humans sent them back, broken the remaining 9 assassins gathered through encrypted Imperial communication channels. They had never met in person, but they knew of each other by reputation. Now they needed to work together. 3 of their number had been captured in just 3 days. The impossible had happened. Shadewalker Nix's voice came through first, distorted by the encryption. "The humans know we are here. They were ready for Kiros, Valira, and Arctis. We must change our approach." "Agreed," said Korvax the patient. "They have prepared specific defenses for individual abilities. We must combine our skills. Hunt in pairs," the others agreed. They would work together, using combined abilities that humans could not possibly prepare for. After all, they had only captured 3 assassins. 9 remained, and 9 was more than enough. Shadewalker Nix and Korvax the patient formed the first team. Nix could walk through walls and scout targets while remaining undetectable. Korvax could eliminate targets from kilometers away with his sniper rifle. Together, they would find Tae-sun Lee, the intelligence director, and end him before he could react. They tracked Lee to a safe house on the outskirts of Tokyo. The building was surrounded by security, but security meant nothing to Nix. He could phase through any barrier. At midnight, while Korvax set up his sniper position on a building 3 kilometers away, Nix walked straight through the outer walls. The house was quiet, too quiet. Nix moved through the halls like smoke, his body halfway between dimensions. Solid matter passed through him harmlessly. He found Lee's bedroom and prepared to materialize fully to make the kill. Then everything went wrong. As soon as Nix fully materialized, intense pain shot through his entire body. He screamed and fell to the floor, suddenly unable to shift back to his phased state. The walls around him glowed with a strange blue light, technology he had never seen before. Tae-sun Lee stepped out of the shadows, very much awake and very much alive. With him was Hyun-Soo Bae, another target. They were both armed and wearing equipment that looked like it was designed specifically for this moment. Phase disruption field, Lee explained calmly. We studied your species after capturing one of your scout ships. Your people can shift between dimensions, but that shift requires a specific quantum frequency. We built emitters that disrupt that frequency. You are stuck in our dimension now. Solid. Vulnerable. Nix tried to run, but the entire house was lined with these emitters. Every room was a trap. Security teams moved in quickly, surrounding him with weapons ready. Meanwhile, 3 kilometers away, Korvax had his target in sight. Through his scope, he could see into the house. He could see Nix being captured. That was unfortunate, but Korvax had his job to do. He would take the shot and escape. Losing Nix was acceptable if Lee died. He lined up the shot perfectly. His finger touched the trigger. Then his scope went dark. Korvax pulled back, confused. His rifle's systems were failing. Electronic interference of some kind. He tried to reboot the scope, but before he could, he heard sounds behind him. Footsteps. Multiple people. He spun around to find himself surrounded by a human sniper team. They had found his position, but how? He had been perfectly concealed, perfectly silent. We tracked the angle, one of the human snipers said. When you aimed at the house, your scope created a targeting laser that our sensors detected. We calculated the trajectory and found you. Then we jammed your equipment. Another human spoke. We studied every Imperial assassination for the past 50 years. Your people love long-range kills. We trained every counter-sniper team on this planet to detect and neutralize shooters like you. You were good. But we learned from the best, we learned from you. Korvax had no chance to resist. They had him surrounded with weapons aimed at every vital point. He was captured within minutes, his rifle taken, his pride shattered. Lysera Quickblade and Grim-Eye Toll formed the second team. Lysera was a close combat expert with energy blades. Toll was a telepath who could read thoughts and predict movements. They chose to target Hana Park, the diplomat who had united Earth's defense, and Mi-young Jang, the medical officer. Intelligence reported that both women would be at a peace rally in Seoul. Thousands of humans would be present. The assassins saw this as an opportunity. The crowd would provide cover. They could strike and disappear before anyone understood what happened. Lysera and Toll moved through the crowd easily, their appearances altered with simple disguises. Toll reached out with his telepathic senses, searching for his targets. He found them quickly. Park and Jang were standing on a platform, speaking to the crowd about hope and resistance. Toll smiled. He could read their surface thoughts. He could sense their emotions. But something was strange. He expected fear, or at least tension. Instead, he felt only calm confidence. Why were they not afraid? Lysera moved closer, pushing through the crowd. Her energy blades were hidden but ready. She just needed to get within striking distance. Suddenly, Park looked directly at where Toll was standing in the crowd. She spoke into her microphone, but her words were clearly meant for him. We know you are reading our thoughts. We know you are here, and we know you sense no fear in us. Do you want to know why we are not afraid? Toll recoiled. She knew he was there. She knew what he was, how. Yang spoke next, her voice carrying across the crowd. We trained for months with meditation experts and military psychologists. We learned to control our thoughts and emotions. You can read our minds, but all you will find is preparation and determination. We knew telepaths would come. We prepared for you. Lysera did not wait for more talk. She activated her energy blades and charged toward the platform, moving with deadly speed. But Park and Jiang did not panic. They moved in perfect synchronization, their training evident in every motion. Park pulled a device from her belt and aimed it at Lysera. A magnetic pulse shot out and Lysera's energy blades flickered and died. The weapon systems failed completely. Lysera stumbled, shocked that her weapons had been countered so easily. Jiang deployed a second device, this one aimed at where Tull was standing. It emitted a high-frequency sound that only telepaths could hear. Tull screamed and grabbed his head as the sound overwhelmed his telepathic senses. It was agony, scrambling his ability to read thoughts or focus. Security teams appeared from everywhere. They had been waiting, dressed as normal civilians in the crowd. Within seconds, both assassins were surrounded and taken down. Lysera fought hard, but without her weapons, she was just another fighter against dozens of trained humans. Tull could not use his telepathy, with the neural scrambler destroying his concentration. They were both captured, restrained, and taken away. The crowd barely noticed the brief struggle. It had been over in less than a minute. Drax Ironhand decided he was done with subtlety. The others had tried being clever, being tactical. Look where it got them. 5 assassins captured. 5, it was humiliating. Drax was going to do what he did best, smash through everything and kill his target with pure strength. His target was Wanshik O, the logistics master who coordinated supply lines. Intelligence said O was working in a warehouse district outside Mumbai. Drax would tear through the building like paper and crush O with his bare hands. He approached the warehouse at sunset, his massive armored form casting long shadows. The building looked standard. Metal walls, reinforced doors, security systems. Nothing that could stop him. Drax grabbed the front door and ripped it off its hinges with a screech of tearing metal. Alarms blared, but Drax did not care. He charged inside, smashing through interior walls and security gates. Automated defenses fired at him, but his armor absorbed the damage easily. He was unstoppable. He reached the center of the warehouse expecting to find O. Instead, he found an empty room with a single speaker mounted on the wall. O's voice came through, calm and controlled. General Kim sends his regards. The warehouse has been evacuated for 3 hours. This entire building is a trap. Drax roared in anger and tried to run back the way he came. But the entrance he had smashed through suddenly exploded. Charges placed throughout the building detonated in sequence. These were not normal explosives. They were armor-piercing charges designed to counter heavy combat suits. The ceiling collapsed. Walls fell inward. Drax's armor protected him from being killed instantly, but the sheer weight of debris buried him. Tons of rubble pressed down, pinning him completely. He tried to push free, but even his incredible strength could not move the mountain of wreckage. He could hear sounds above, machinery, human excavation equipment. They were digging him out, but slowly, carefully. It took them 6 hours to extract him from the rubble. By the time they pulled him free, his armor was damaged, his body was exhausted, and he was surrounded by armed soldiers. Wanshik O stood at a safe distance watching through camera feeds. He spoke into a radio that broadcast to Drax's helmet speakers. Strength without strategy is just violence. We have seen enough violence from your empire. You are captured now. Your mission has failed. 7 of the 12 shadows were now in human custody. In orbit, Emperor Thane stared at reports with growing horror. This was not supposed to happen. The 12 shadows were legendary. They had never failed a mission. Yet humans, supposedly primitive humans, had captured 7 of them in less than a week. 12 elite assassins sent by the Empire, humans sent them back. Broken 5 assassins remained free. Vesper Knight, Sylvana Ghost, Rennick Voidborn, Azura Death Whisper, and 1 more whose identity was still unknown to the humans. These 5 were the best of the best, and they knew they could not fail. 7 had been captured, but 7 had also been careless. These 5 would not make the same mistakes. They coordinated one final plan through heavily encrypted channels. Instead of hunting individually or in pairs, they would strike simultaneously at all remaining targets at once. The humans could not possibly defend against 5 coordinated attacks happening at the same time across the entire planet. What they did not know was that Commander Jin Wu Kang's cyber warfare team had been inside Imperial communications since the 2nd day. Every message the assassin sent, Every plan they made, humans heard it all. The remaining targets knew exactly when and how the attack would come. General Kim stood in the command center with his team, watching holographic displays that showed the positions of all 5 remaining assassins. "They think they are coordinating a surprise attack," he said quietly. "But we have been reading their messages for days. Each target location is prepared. This ends tonight." The remaining human targets were not hiding. Sung Ho Nam, Yoonji Moon, Hong Shiko, and Sumin Lim were all exactly where the assassins expected them to be. They were bait in a perfectly set trap. Vesper Knight was a shapeshifter, able to copy any appearance perfectly. She had studied her target, Sung Ho Nam, for 3 days. She knew his schedule, his habits, and his security patterns. Tonight she would replace one of his guards, walk right up to him, and kill him before anyone realized what happened. She copied the appearance of a security guard named Park Jae-sung down to every detail. His face, his voice, his mannerisms. She had recordings of him speaking that she studied for hours. When she approached the security checkpoint at Nam's facility, she looked exactly like Park. The checkpoint guards scanned her identification badge. It passed. They scanned her biometrics. They passed too. She had hacked the systems to accept her copied appearance. She walked through with confidence, but when she entered the inner building, Nam himself was waiting in the hallway. He was not alone. Sumin Lim stood beside him, and both were flanked by security teams wearing strange visors. "Hello, Vesper," Nam said calmly. "Your disguise is perfect, truly impressive work. But we have been using retinal scan verification on everyone entering this facility for the past week." Vesper's heart sank. Retinal scans looked at the patterns inside the eye, the tiny blood vessels that were unique to each person. She could copy a face perfectly, but she could not copy the interior structure of someone's eye. "Your eyes gave you away," Lim added. "You look exactly like Park, but your capillary patterns are wrong. Our scanners detected the difference immediately. Security moved in fast. Vesper tried to shift her appearance again, tried to confuse them by looking like different people. But they were wearing thermal imaging visors that showed her true heat signature regardless of what she looked like on the outside. They tracked her real body through all the disguises. She was captured within minutes, her shape-shifting abilities useless against technology that saw through her tricks. Sylvana Ghost created illusions. She could make people see things that were not there, hide things that were, and confuse entire teams with false images. She had planned to use this ability to isolate Yoonji Moon and strike when she was alone. She infiltrated the building where Moon worked, creating holographic projections of herself in multiple locations. Security teams would see 5 Sylvanas moving through the building, making it impossible to know which was real. While they chased false images, the real Sylvana would find Moon and complete the mission. But when she activated her illusion technology, nothing happened the way she expected. The security teams did not chase her false projections. Instead, they ignored them completely and moved directly toward her real position. Moon's voice came through the building's speaker system. "We have been working with Sumin Lim on counter-propaganda and illusion detection for months. Your holographic projections create patterns of light that our sensors can identify. We see the distortions. We know which image is real and which is fake." Sylvana tried to run, creating more illusions to cover her escape, but the sensors tracked her through all of them. Security teams had equipment that showed her real position on their displays. Her greatest weapon, deception, was completely neutralized. She was surrounded and captured in a hallway, her technology confiscated, her confidence shattered. Rennick Voidborn could step between dimensions, not just phase through walls like Nyx had tried, but actually move through different layers of reality itself. He was considered the most difficult assassin to stop because he could simply step sideways out of any trap or danger. His target was Wanshik O. Rennick planned to dimension step directly into O's secure bunker, bypassing all physical security entirely. No doors, no walls, no defenses mattered when you could move through different dimensions of space. He activated his dimensional technology and stepped sideways through reality. The world blurred and shifted around him. He moved through the spaces, between normal space, traveling through a realm that existed alongside but separate from the physical world. He emerged inside O's bunker exactly as planned. But the moment he materialized, he knew something was terribly wrong. He tried to step back into the dimensional space, tried to shift away, but he could not move. He was trapped in physical reality. O sat at a desk on the other side of the room, completely calm. "Welcome to the dimensional anchor trap," O said. "We built this room after studying reports of your abilities from other worlds your empire conquered. The walls generate a field that locks dimensional coordinates. You can step into this room, but you cannot step out. The dimensions are frozen here." Rennick tried desperately to activate his technology, to force his way back into dimensional space. But the field was too strong. He was stuck, unable to use his greatest ability. Security teams entered through a shielded door, and Rennick found himself surrounded with nowhere to run and no way to escape. He was captured, restrained with equipment designed to keep him locked in physical space. Azura Death Whisper controlled sound. She could create vibrations that killed without leaving a mark, making deaths look natural. She had planned to eliminate Su Min Lim from a safe distance, using sound frequencies that would stop her heart. She set up her equipment in a building across from where Lim worked. Her technology could focus sound waves with incredible precision, hitting a target through walls and windows. All she needed was line of sight and the right frequency. She aimed her equipment at Lim's office window and began to generate the killing frequency. But nothing happened. The sound waves hit some kind of barrier and dispersed harmlessly. Through binoculars, Azura could see Lim sitting calmly in her office, completely unharmed. The windows were different from normal glass. They were vibrating at a frequency that canceled out Azura's attack. Then human security teams burst into Azura's location. They had tracked the sound waves back to their source. "Acoustic dampening windows," one of the security officers explained as they restrained her. "We installed them throughout the facility. After learning a sound-based assassin was among your group, your frequencies cannot penetrate our defenses." Azura was captured, her equipment seized, her mission a complete failure. The fifth and final assassin made one last, desperate attempt. This assassin had abilities that humans had not yet identified, skills that had remained hidden, but by now the humans were ready for anything. When the final assassin made their move, they walked into a trap that had been prepared for unknown threats. Whatever ability this assassin possessed, humans had contingencies. They had learned to prepare for abilities they had not even seen yet. The final assassin was captured just like the others. Their confidence broken, their mission failed. In orbit, Emperor Thane watched in silence as reports confirmed the capture of all 12 assassins. All 12. The 12 Shadows, legendary, across the galaxy, had been defeated by humans in less than 2 weeks. "How?" he whispered. "How did primitives defeat our finest?" His military advisors had no answers. The humans had not won through superior technology or greater strength. They had won through intelligence, preparation, and understanding their enemy better than the enemy understood themselves. On Earth, General Kim stood before 12 containment cells. Each cell was specially designed to counter the specific abilities of the assassin inside. Each assassin sat in silence, broken not by violence, but by the realization that they had been completely outmatched by people they had thought were primitives. Kim activated a communication channel to Emperor Thane's flagship. The Emperor's face appeared on the screen, and Kim could see the shock and confusion in his eyes. "Emperor Thane," Kim said clearly, "you sent your finest to break our will. Instead, we captured them all. We did not kill them because we did not need to. We captured them because we understood them. We studied your methods for months. We analyzed every Imperial assassination, every tactic, every ability. We knew you would send hunters. We prepared to become better hunters. 12 elite assassins sent by the Empire. Humans sent them back. Broken the Imperial transport ship descended to Earth's atmosphere 3 days after Emperor Thane received the message. It landed at a neutral site, a desert area far from any major cities. The Empire was coming to retrieve its failed assassins, but this time, There would be no stealth, no deception. This would be done in full view of the galaxy. Human forces surrounded the landing site. General Kim, Hana Park, and the other 11 human targets stood together, watching the Imperial ship's boarding ramp lower. Imperial soldiers marched out first, their weapons ready but not aimed. They were here to collect their people, not to fight. Not today. The 12 shadows were brought out from human transport vehicles. Each assassin was restrained according to their specific abilities. Kairos wore a device that prevented his cloaking technology from functioning. Valera was in a sealed suit that prevented her from accessing any poisons. Arctis Prime's cybernetics were completely shut down. Each of the 12 was powerless, but they were alive. Unharmed physically, but something else was broken inside them. Their eyes showed defeat in a way that physical wounds never could. These were beings who had never failed. Now they had not just failed. They had been completely dominated by an enemy they had thought inferior. The Imperial soldiers took custody of the assassins one by one. No words were exchanged between humans and the Empire's representatives. The transaction was silent, efficient, and humiliating for the Empire. Within an hour, all 12 assassins were loaded onto the transport ship. Commander Kang stood beside General Kim, watching the ship prepare to leave. "We are broadcasting this to every system in the sector," he said quietly. "Every subjugated world will see this. They will know that the Empire's elite assassins were defeated by humans." "Good," Kim replied. "Let them see. Let them know that resistance is possible, that preparation and intelligence can defeat superior force." The Imperial transport lifted off, carrying its broken cargo back to the Empire. But the real message was already spreading across the galaxy. Humans had captured the 12 shadows, all of them. The impossible had happened. On the Imperial flagship, Emperor Thane met with the returned assassins in a secure debriefing room. He looked at each of them, trying to find the legendary warriors he had sent to Earth. Instead, he saw something he had never seen before: defeat in the eyes of his most elite forces. "Explain to me how this happened," Thane said, his voice controlled but tight with anger. "All 12 of you, the finest assassins in the galaxy, captured by primitives." Kairos spoke first, his voice hollow. "They were not primitives, my lord. They were prepared. Specifically prepared. They knew our abilities before we even landed. They had technology designed to counter every advantage we possessed." Valera added. "They knew about our poisons. All of them. They had studied Valdris biology and chemistry. They had countermeasures ready. It was as if they had been preparing for us for months." "They had been," Arctis Prime said. His cybernetic voice was quieter than usual. "We discovered that humans had captured one of our scout ships 6 months ago. They reverse-engineered our technology. They studied our tactics from recordings of previous Imperial conquests. They learned everything about us while we assumed they knew nothing." Shadewalker Nick stared at the floor. "They had phase disruption fields. Technology that trapped me in physical form. I could not escape. I could not use my abilities. They turned my greatest strength into my greatest weakness." The pattern continued as each assassin gave their report. Humans had prepared specific counters to every ability. They had studied Imperial tactics across hundreds of worlds. They had taken months of preparation time that the Empire had given them when they sent scout ships and made demands. One of Thane's military advisors spoke carefully. "My lord, it appears the humans used our own arrogance against us. We documented our conquests. We recorded our methods. We made our tactics public to intimidate other worlds. The humans took all that information and used it to prepare defenses." Another advisor added, "They also have significant cyber warfare capabilities." Commander Jinwoo Kang's team had been inside our communications network since the first week. They read every message the assassins sent. Every plan was compromised before it was even executed. Thane leaned back in his throne, processing this information. The Empire had conquered 400 systems. They had never encountered resistance like this. Other worlds fought with weapons or tried to hide. But humans had done something different. They had studied the Empire, learned from every recorded conquest, and prepared counters to tactics that had worked for centuries. "They turned our history into a weapon against us," Thane said quietly. "Yes, my lord," the advisor confirmed. "Every battle we documented, every tactic we published, every method we used, humans studied it all. They know how we think. They know how we fight. They prepared specifically for our strengths. Thane looked at the 12 assassins again. You are dismissed. You will not speak of this mission to anyone. You are confined to your quarters until we decide what to do with you. The 12 shadows left in silence. They had been the Empire's elite. Now they were symbols of failure. Their legendary status was destroyed. They had been defeated not by stronger warriors, but by smarter opponents who had done their homework. On Earth, the 12 human targets gathered in the command center beneath Geneva. They had survived the Empire's assassination attempt with 0 casualties. More than that, they had turned the threat into an intelligence victory. We have copies of everything we recovered from the assassins, Commander Kang reported. Imperial technology, communication codes, tactical information. Even their cyber systems gave us access to parts of their network before they shut us out. Bo-Ra Choi displayed holographic schematics of recovered Imperial equipment. We have been studying their stealth technology, their dimensional devices, their cybernetic enhancements. We are already adapting some of this technology for our own use. In 6 months, we will have closed much of the technology gap, Yu Jin Shin added. More importantly, we have demonstrated something to the galaxy. The Empire can be defeated. Their elite forces can be countered. Other worlds will see what we did and learn from it. General Kim looked at his team with pride. We won this battle through intelligence and preparation. We studied our enemy. We used their own documented history against them. We did not need to be stronger or have better technology. We just needed to be smarter. Hana Park brought up diplomatic reports on the holographic display. We are already receiving communication requests from other subjugated worlds. They want to know how we did it. They want to learn our methods, share everything, Kim decided. Our defensive tactics, our counter-technologies, our intelligence methods. If other worlds want to resist the Empire, we will help them. The Empire thought sending assassins would save them resources. Instead, they have started something they cannot stop. They have created a resistance movement across the galaxy. The team began work immediately, documenting their methods and preparing to share them with other worlds. The capture of the 12 shadows was not just a military victory. It was the beginning of a larger resistance movement. Weeks passed. The Empire negotiated with Earth through diplomatic channels. They offered resources, technology, and formal recognition of Earth as an independent system. In exchange, they wanted the humans to close their access to Imperial networks and stop spreading their defensive tactics to other worlds. The Human Council debated the offer for days. Eventually, they agreed to most terms. The Imperial network access would be closed, though humans kept copies of everything they had obtained. Earth would be recognized as independent. The Empire would not attempt another attack, but humans refused to stop sharing their defensive knowledge with other worlds. That was non-negotiable. If you send assassins or armies to those worlds, Hana Park told the Imperial diplomats, we will help them the same way we helped ourselves. The galaxy is changing. You cannot stop it, the Empire reluctantly agreed. They had no choice. A military invasion of Earth would be costly, after humans had proven they could counter Imperial tactics. The political damage of another failure would be catastrophic. The 12 shadows lived the rest of their lives in quiet obscurity within the Empire. They were not punished officially, but they were never given another mission. They had become symbols of what happened when the Empire underestimated an opponent. Other assassins and soldiers studied their failure as a lesson in the dangers of arrogance. Kairos the Silent, who had never been detected in 200 missions, now spent his days knowing that humans had tracked him from the moment he touched Earth's soil. Valera Darkmoon, who had killed with poisons no one could detect, knew that humans had countered every toxin in her arsenal before she even deployed them. Arctis Prime, the cybernetic hunter, understood that his greatest strengths had been turned into his greatest vulnerabilities. They had been broken not by violence, but by the realization that they were obsolete. An enemy had studied them, understood them, and defeated them without even needing to fight fair. The humans had simply prepared better. 5 years later, Earth had become a respected independent world in the galactic community.